Australia has a proud automotive history, but did you know that some of its most iconic car brands have completely vanished? From homegrown supercars to everyday classics that once ruled the streets, these are the stories of Australian cars you'll never see rolling off the production line again. Buckle up, because we're taking a ride through the rise and fall of 12 legendary Aussie car brands that disappeared forever. Holden. You can still hear the echoes of Holden engines on quiet suburban streets, even though the cars themselves have become a rare sight. Holden, once a proud Australian nameplate, began its journey in 1856 as a saddlery manufacturer in South Australia. By 1898, it had shifted gears into the automotive world, eventually becoming a subsidiary of General Motors in 1931. For decades, Holden represented Australian ingenuity on wheels, producing models like the Commodore, Caprice, and the beloved Ute. From Adelaide to Port Melbourne, Holden's factories in South Australia and Victoria became the heart of its operation. Engines roared at Fisherman's Bend, while the Elizabeth assembly plant churned out thousands of vehicles each year. Holden didn't just make cars, it created a symbol of everyday Australian life: the family sedan, the workhorse ute, the road trip companion. Yet the story wasn't all smooth highways. Badge engineering partnerships with Nissan, Toyota, and other GM subsidiaries, combined with rising costs and a shrinking local market, slowly eroded the brand's identity. Despite producing nearly 7.7 million vehicles, Holden announced the end of local manufacturing in 2017. And by 2020, the marque was retired entirely. Today, you won't see new Holdens on the roads, but the legacy remains. Classic Commodores still cruise at car shows, Utes are prized by collectors, and the Holden name lives on in stories shared around backyard barbecues and family garages. Holden may have vanished from showrooms, but for Australians it will always be more than a car. It was a part of the nation's journey. Leland Australia. You might not see them cruising the highways today, but Leland Australia once carried the hopes of a nation on wheels. Born from British Leyland, this company tried to stake its claim in the Australian automotive market during the 1960s and 70s. With the launch of the Leyland P76, expectations were high. A family sedan designed for Australians, promising both comfort and performance. Factories buzzed with activity, employees poured their hearts into every vehicle, and the P76 even earned awards for innovation. Yet reality didn't match the dream. Production problems, reliability issues, and stiff competition from Holden and Ford soon weighed heavily on Leland Australia. Despite the ambition and effort, the P76 was poorly received, and the company faced serious financial strain. In 1974, the manufacturing plant was forced to close, marking the beginning of the end. By 1982, Leland Australia officially ceased trading after Jaguar Rover Australia Lengthway acquired its assets. The closure left a scar on the Australian automotive landscape, with job losses affecting thousands of workers and their families. Still, Leland Australia's story isn't one of complete failure. The P76 remains a cult classic among collectors, admired for its bold design, and what might have been enthusiasts gather at car shows, sharing memories of a brand that dared to dream big in the shadow of giants. Leland Australia may have disappeared from streets and showrooms, but it endures in history, in stories told around dinner tables, and in the passion of those who still remember the roar of a P76 engine. Roots Australia. Some names fade quietly from memory, and Roots Australia is one of them. Born from the British Roots Group, the company sought to bring affordable, reliable vehicles to Australians in the 1950s and 60s. With models like the Hillman Hunter, Roots Australia became a familiar sight on suburban streets, offering families a practical car for daily life. The Port Melbourne factory buzzed with activity as workers assembled vehicles with care, believing in the promise of an Australian motoring future. The Hunter, with its simple yet robust design, won fans across the nation. Its straightforward engineering made maintenance easy, a key appeal in an era when local garages were lifelines for motorists. However, the tides of change arrived swiftly. In December 1965, Roots Australia merged with Chrysler Australia. The Port Melbourne factory closed in 1972, and by 1973, production of the Hillman Hunter ended. The Roots name vanished from Australian roads as Chrysler consolidated operations, and the parent company was eventually sold to Peugeot in 1978. Though Roots Australia ceased to exist, its cars left an enduring mark. Classic Hunters still appear at car shows, lovingly restored by enthusiasts who remember their reliability and charm. Collectors celebrate the brand's bold but modest contribution to Australian motoring history. Roots Australia may no longer roll off assembly lines, but in the memories of those who drove a Hunter and in the stories shared at meetups and family garages, it continues to occupy a special place in the story of Australia's automotive past. Australian 6. In the early 1920s, a bold dream drove the Australian 6 to life. A truly Australian car, designed and built for local roads and drivers. The company behind it aimed to prove that Australia could manufacture its own vehicles, rather than relying on imports. For a brief moment, the Australian 6 stood as a symbol of national ambition, a car that promised comfort, reliability, and a sense of pride for its owners. Production, however, was never easy. The cost of manufacturing locally was staggering, with limited economies of scale and a small domestic market. Ownership changed hands multiple times, reflecting the financial instability that shadowed the young automotive venture. In 1921, the company was restructured, but the new enterprise lasted a mere 6 weeks before going into liquidation. Despite these setbacks, the Australian 6 continued to capture the imagination of Australians who longed for a homegrown automobile. Each car that rolled out of the factory was a testament to ingenuity, craftsmanship, and the pioneering spirit of its builders. Tragically, in July 1925, a fire destroyed the factory, delivering the final blow to the enterprise. With the factory gone, production ended, and the Australian 6 name disappeared from the streets forever. Yet the legacy remains. Collectors and historians today celebrate the ambition behind the car, preserving its story as a reminder of the challenges faced by early Australian manufacturers. The Australian 6 may have been short-lived, but it embodies a uniquely Australian determination, a spark of innovation that even in failure paved the way for the nation's automotive journey. T.J. Richards and Sons. Long before modern factories dominated the Australian automotive landscape, there was T.J. Richards and Sons, a family business that built the backbone of early motoring in Australia, founded in 1885 by Tobias John Martin Richards in Adelaide. The company began as a small coach building shop, crafting wheels, sulkies and carriages for local customers. Richards' motto, King of the Road, captured both the quality and ambition of his work. By the early 1900s, Tobias's sons, Henry, Claude and William, had joined the business, expanding operations across Australia and even exporting to England, South Africa and India. The first automobile bodies appeared in 1905, and by 1912, a dedicated department was creating custom car bodies for brands like Bianchi, Citroën, Fiat, Hudson and Rolls-Royce. The company's growth continued, moving to larger sites in Keswick and Mile End, installing mechanical body presses and eventually establishing assembly lines in 1928. A partnership with Chrysler Corporation marked a turning point, focusing on bodies for Chrysler, Dodge, DeSoto and Plymouth models. During World War II, the factory shifted to wartime production, building munitions and aircraft components for planes like the Bristol Beaufort and CAC Wirraway. After the war, the Richards family gradually sold their stake, and by 1951, Chrysler Corporation had acquired majority control, renaming the operation Chrysler Australia Limited. Though T.J. Richards & Sons ceased to exist as an independent company, its legacy lives on in the craftsmanship and innovation that laid the foundation for Australian car manufacturing. T.J. Richards & Sons may no longer bear their name, but the vehicles and industrial expertise they contributed continue to echo in the story of Australia's motoring history. Chrysler Australia. Chrysler Australia, once a symbol of bold American design on Australian roads, has quietly driven off into history. For decades, Chrysler sedans, wagons and luxury models added a touch of US flair to Australian motoring, with the Chrysler 300 standing as a proud flagship in later years. The brand's journey down under began with acquisitions of local operations, including T.J. Richards & Sons, and partnerships that shaped the company's footprint in Adelaide and beyond. From the mid-20th century, Chrysler Australia offered a range of vehicles that blended American engineering with local manufacturing know-how assembly lines in Adelaide, produced models that Australians admired for their size, comfort and innovative features. Over time, however, changing consumer tastes and global automotive trends began to challenge the brand. By the 2000s, the Chrysler lineup in Australia had narrowed, with the 300 sedan as the sole remaining model. Shifts toward SUVs and electrification globally made maintaining Chrysler's traditional sedans increasingly impractical. In November 2021, Fiat Chrysler Australia announced the end of the brand in Australia, and by early 2022, the last new vehicles were sold. The decision marked the final chapter for a marque that had graced Australian streets for decades. Though new Chryslers will no longer roll off showrooms, the company continues to provide parts and service through authorised Jeep dealerships, preserving a connection to its loyal owners. Chrysler Australia may have disappeared from the road, but its legacy, bold styling, luxurious interiors, and a hint of American audacity will remain in the memories of Australians who once drove them. Hartnett Motor Company. Few Australian car companies embody both ambition and fragility like the Hartnett Motor Company. Founded in 1949 by Sir Lawrence Hartnett, often called the father of the Australian motor industry, the company sought to produce small, affordable vehicles for the local market. With post-war optimism high, Hartnett dreamed of creating a truly Australian car that could compete with imported models. The original Hartnett Motor Company, however, faced immediate challenges. Limited resources, small-scale production and financial hurdles meant that only about 120 cars were ever built before operation ceased in 1955. The company was officially dissolved in 1956, leaving behind a legacy of bold ambition and pioneering spirit rather than commercial success. Undeterred, Hartnett launched a second venture in 1957, partnering with the German Lloyd Company to assemble the Lloyd Alexander in Australia, rebranded as the Lloyd Hartnett. This collaboration brought modern European design to Australian roads and allowed local drivers to experience a compact, stylish alternative to larger vehicles. Yet, the venture was short-lived. When Lloyd's parent company, Borgward, faced financial collapse in 1961, the Lloyd Hartnett project ended abruptly. Despite its fleeting presence, the Hartnett Motor Company remains a celebrated chapter in Australian automotive history. Its cars, rare and collectible today, serve as reminders of a time when innovation often outpaced resources, and ambition was the engine driving Australia's motoring dreams. Though Hartnett Motor Company no longer produces vehicles, its story endures, inspiring Australians to remember the vision and determination of a pioneer who dared to dream of a homegrown automobile industry. Bolwell Nagari. Australia has given the world some wild automotive creations, but few cars capture the imagination like the Bolwell Nagari. Born in the 1970s from the inventive minds of brothers Campbell and Graham Bolwell, the Nagari was more than just a car. It was Australia's answer to the European supercars of the era, built right in a Melbourne shed. The Bolwell Company began in the 1960s producing kit cars using mostly GM parts, including Holden engines. But after 4 models, the Bolwell brothers set out to create a fully fledged production vehicle. The result was the Nagari, a low-slung sports coupe with a stunning fiberglass body, Ford mechanical components, and Austin 1800 steering performance was breathtaking. Early models used a Ford 302 Windsor 5.8, producing 180 kilowatts and 300 Newton meters, allowing the car to sprint from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in just 6.4 seconds and reach a top speed of 209 kilometers per hour. Later, 351 powered models pushed the Nagari further, hitting around 240 kilometers per hour and a mid-13 second quarter mile. Despite its speed, the car had quirks. Interiors were cramped and hot, footwells tiny, and both steering and suspension demanded respect. Production lasted from 1970 to 1974, with roughly 100 coupes and a dozen convertibles built. Exact numbers are lost to time. Though Bolwell closed shop in the 1980s, the Nagari spirit was revived in 2009 with a carbon fibre-bodied mid-engine supercar featuring a supercharged Toyota V6 and a 6-speed gearbox. While today Bolwell primarily produces caravans, the Nagari remains a rare reminder that Australia once built its own breathtaking sports cars, capable of thrilling anyone lucky enough to sit behind its wheel. The Bolwell Nagari may no longer dominate roads, but its legacy of Australian innovation and adrenaline-fueled design lives on. Elfin sports cars. Few Australian sports car manufacturers can claim the legacy and racing pedigree of Elfin sports cars. Founded in 1959 by Gary Cooper in South Australia, Elfin quickly became the pride of Australian motorsport. Cooper, both a champion driver and a gifted designer, set out to create lightweight, high-performance sports and racing cars that could compete on the international stage. Elfin's early years were defined by innovation and success. Operating from a modest factory in Edwardstown, Adelaide, the company produced a series of sports cars and formula racing vehicles that dominated Australian circuits. Over the decades, Elfin amassed an impressive 29 championships, including major Grand Prix titles. Cementing its reputation as Australia's oldest continuous sports car maker, tragedy struck in 1982 when Gary Cooper died suddenly, leaving a legacy of ambition and engineering excellence. The company changed hands multiple times, passing through the care of Don Elliott, Tony Edmondson and John Porter, before moving to Victoria under Murray Richards in the 1990s. In 1998, Bill Hemming and Nick Kovac acquired Elfin, relocating operations to Melbourne and reviving the brand with models like the Type 3 Clubman and the MS8 Streamliner in collaboration with GM Holden. Despite its innovations, Elfin's production ceased in 2012, leaving the brand dormant for a decade. In May 2023, Youngtimers Garage purchased Elfin, announcing plans to breathe new life into the storied marque. Elfin Sports Cars remains an icon of Australian engineering, a testament to ambition, speed and racing heritage. Though rare on today's roads, the cars and their history continue to inspire motorsport enthusiasts across the country. Giocattolo. Australia's automotive history is filled with bold experiments, and the Giocattolo stands out as a rare jewel from the 1980s. Founded in 1986 by sports car enthusiast Paul Halstead and Formula One designer Barry Locke, the company's name, Giocattolo, means toy in Italian, hinting at its playful yet serious approach to high-performance sports cars. The Giocattolo began life using a heavily modified Alfa Romeo Sprint body with a mid-mounted Alfa V6 engine. However, importing and fitting these engines proved expensive and complex. By the fourth prototype, the company switched to a Holden V8 from Holden Special Vehicles, which offered not only more power, but also better accessibility and cost efficiency. The V8-powered Giocattolo boasted 190 kilowatts, 255 horsepower, and could reach an impressive top speed of 257 kilometers per hour, 160 miles per hour. Despite the promise, Giocattolo remained extremely limited. Only 15 cars were ever produced before the company folded in 1989. Each car became an instant collector's item. The Alpha-powered third prototype even gained national attention on the TV show Beyond 2000, demonstrating the brand's technical ambition. Tragically, build number 007 was destroyed in a fiery high-speed crash at Eastern Creek Raceway in 2001, claiming the life of its driver. Though the company's lifespan was short, Giocattolo left an enduring impression as one of Australia's boldest sports car ventures. Today, 14 of the original 15 cars still exist, cherished by enthusiasts who remember a time when Australian automotive innovation dared to chase speed and style with unabashed ambition. Giocattolo may have been fleeting, but its spirit of daring and engineering excellence continues to inspire the next generation of Australian car lovers. Ascort. In the late 1950s, Australian automotive enthusiasts were briefly introduced to a unique and ambitious sports car, the Ascort. Manufactured by the Hermex Corporation between 1958 and 1960, Ascort aimed to offer a stylish, locally designed alternative for drivers craving flair and individuality in a market dominated by imported vehicles. The Ascort was never a mass-produced vehicle. In fact, only about 12 to 15 cars were built during its short lifespan, making each one a rare and treasured piece of Australian motoring history. Despite its limited production, the car's design demonstrated innovative thinking for the era, with sleek lines and sporty proportions that hinted at a European influence, while remaining unmistakably Australian. Hermex Corporation's venture was ambitious, but ultimately unsustainable. High production costs, a small domestic market, and the challenges of competing against established international brands contributed to the company folding in the early 1960s. While the Ascort never achieved commercial success, it captured the imagination of enthusiasts and remains a symbol of Australian automotive ingenuity. Today, surviving Ascorts are extremely rare and highly collectible. Their scarcity and charm make them a sought-after piece of classic car heritage, reminding Australians of a time when local manufacturers dared to dream big and craft vehicles with personality and style. The story of Ascort may have been brief, but it exemplifies the daring spirit that has characterised Australia's car industry for decades. A reminder that innovation and passion often shine brightest in the rarest of creations. Joss. In the world of Australian supercars, few stories are as tantalising and bittersweet as that of Joss. Conceived in 2004, the Joss JP1 was an ambitious homegrown supercar project designed to rival the best in the world. With sleek lines, a lightweight carbon fibre body and a mid-mounted V8 engine, the JP1 promised performance that could make any car enthusiast proud. Yet, ambition alone could not guarantee success. Over the years, Joss faced a series of funding obstacles that kept the dream just out of reach. The most significant setback came in 2015, when the Hatsi-Mihail Group, which had pledged $35 million to bring the car into full production, abruptly withdrew its investment. Without this crucial support, the JP1 project was forced to stall once again, leaving enthusiasts and investors frustrated. Despite the setbacks, the vision of Joss lingered. The team behind the project remained determined to see their Australian supercar hit the roads, holding out hope for future investment and development. However, no further announcements have been made, and the project appears to be dormant, if not permanently defunct. Today, the Joss JP1 exists more as a legend and a symbol of ambition than as a physical car on the streets. For Australian automotive fans, it represents both the potential of local engineering and the harsh realities of turning a supercar dream into reality. The story of Joss is a reminder that sometimes the brightest visions can shine without ever fully materialising. A true what could have been in the landscape of Australian car manufacturing. Australia's automotive past is full of ambition, innovation, and a few heartbreaks. These 12 brands remind us that even the most daring dreams can fade, but their legacy lives on in the memories of enthusiasts and the rare cars that still survive. Which of these vanished Aussie legends would you have loved to drive? Share your thoughts in the comments, and let's keep the spirit of Australian car history alive.